In this video, Carson and I interview my friend Casey, who just got back from 4 months in 4 different foreign countries, a trip that her boss not only signed off on, but allowed her to keep her job throughout the entire thing and come back to it after she was done. Find out how she did it. I want this video to be an eye-opener, not only for the amazing travel adventures that are available to you if you learn to work this system, but also if your excuse has ever been, but I can't leave my job, or I'm afraid of losing my job. This is the fucking video for you.
I mean, that's a brilliant strategy to do it that way.
I did it because of this guy. He's the one who got me signed.
You know, it's not that brilliant.
So this is a huge video for us. We love Casey. We had a great time with her. You're going to find it interesting and informative and actionable as hell. So make sure to like the video, stick through it to the end, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that little bell icon so you can find out about the other crazy videos we've got that are going to revolutionize your life and the way you travel, by which we're going to make it free and constant.
Awkward silence.
Yeah.
There it is.
We're gonna have so much fodder for noise reduction on this bitch.
Organic, awkward silence. You don't just call them New Zealand people, they're Kiwis.
Yeah, I forgot. I didn't forget, but I forgot to do it just then.
Alright, what are we here for?
Oh yeah, this channel is about travel. I forgot. Alright, I've been wanting to get my friend Casey here ever since she got back from a long walkabout overseas just a couple of weeks ago. How long have you been back in town?
Got back May 3rd, so just under a month.
Yeah, okay. Thanks for doing the math for me.
Over a month.
Okay.
Just over a month. I did the math poorly.
Is this, what day is this?
Yeah, I don't know what day it is, but gosh, now this special is dated. It's not special. It is special because you're here.
You're special.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're special too, Carson. Okay.
Jesus, this
Get a room,
this
God,
is
y'all.
what we do here?
We got a room.
Yeah.
It ended up being a different room. We got this whole room to film in. We got a microphone. We got cameras.
There's no black walls, it's so cheerful.
Right? It's a whole different vibe.
And we have at least one more plant than usual.
Yeah. And what are they called again? I don't know. Plants.
ZZ plants?
ZZ plants?
Yeah.
Is this a real one or a fake one?
Real. It's a real plant.
It feels fake. No wonder it's immortal.
Yeah.
It's actually made of plastic.
They're immortal.
It's like the boob job of plants.
That's why I have them.
The plants.
Yes.
Nice. Nice.
I quit listening when I started looking at the plant.
People stop listening to me all the time when they see a plant.
That was great. That was just
It really is
slide that in there real quick.
All right, so I wanted to talk to you about it because what you ended up doing, I'd seen advertisements for, and you actually did it, and it's year abroad, right? Did I call it the right thing?
It's remote year.
Remote year.
And it can be a year abroad, or it can be 4 months, or I think they just started a 6-month program now.
Remote year, the abbreviation is RY. I was thinking of year abroad, which is YA, which is a whole different thing, but...
Young adult.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that book from like book fairs. You're like, oh yeah, I can do this.
Yeah.
This is on my reading level.
No, remote year is advertising, and correct me if I'm wrong, but they're basically a travel agency that like negotiates remote work with your boss. Am I right about that?
I think that's fair. Yeah. Yeah, you get
so
yourself
they're like a travel
there.
agency with an angle.
Yeah.
You're required to get yourself there?
Yeah, you get yourself there, you get yourself home. You have a down payment, and then for a monthly fee, they provide a home and a co-working space. And you do your job that you do normally in whatever country you're from, and they just provide an opportunity to work with cultural immersion.
Okay.
And that's what they do.
You get yourself there, you get yourself back. Me and Carson are good at that shit.
Mm-hmm. They handle the logistics in between.
Right.
All of the flights.
And in your case, there was where?
We started in Cape Town, South Africa, and then Marrakesh, Morocco, Lisbon, Portugal, and Valencia, Spain.
None of these places are close by.
Nope, a month. No.
So they're quite far away.
Do you recall how you got to each place, like airline or anything like that? Or was it just such a blur that...
Actually, she has some cool shit to say about Tap Portugal, but...
Oh, yeah. That's comes later.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so that is actually not through remote year, because one thing you can't do, which would probably be important to you two, is that you can't use your points for miles in between.
In between what?
In between the time you get there and the time you get home, for all of those flights in between countries, you don't get to use your name, your points.
But they're covered for you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's just the beginning, it's the outbound leg, and then your final return. That's it. That's what's your responsibility.
Exactly. And so on my way back, you were asking about, I was flying TAP coming out of Portugal, and I guess they have a thing where if they have extra business class seats available, you can bid for them.
Yes.
And so I was able to fly business class on the way home for $50 or $75 over my regular economy.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
I recommend it. I never want to fly economy again.
Did you take pictures of the seat?
I did, and my feet really far away from me.
That's like
I
such
think I
the
remember
cliche
seeing that on
thing,
your
right?
Instagram.
Yeah.
What?
That's the cliche thing, right? The first time, because economy is you're so close, like you don't even remember you have feet. They're buried under your bag that's under the seat in front of you. But then you fly business class or first class for the first time, or you have a bulkhead seat or something, and you're like, look at those. Like,
Yeah, I took
that
that foot picture the first time, and I was seriously like,
to
even get them on the footrest.
Look at me, look at how much legroom I have. Like I fall out of the seat. I have so much legroom.
Yeah,
And what the audience can't see is I'm 5'11", so it's a big deal for me to be able to do that.
Recline that much.
Yeah, I even put my bag over there and my feet because there was room for both. It was awesome.
Oh, it's so indulgent.
Yes.
Do you know what kind of seat it was?
No.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it did recline all the way to a flat position.
Do you know what airplane it was?
One run by TAP Airlines. These aren't things I always pay attention to.
Trying to get all nerd over here is like, was it an Airbus that had Zodiac seats on it? Do you know?
It was a plane that had wings and
It went
was
up,
headed
it came back
to
down.
America.
So I find that the planes with wings operate much better than those that don't.
You're so picky, Carson. What
You're
the
such a
fuck?
diva.
No, can you send those pictures to us?
Of course.
So we can break them down?
Of
Are they on
course.
Instagram and Facebook? They have to be.
They were on my stories.
Yeah. Okay.
So maybe
So
they're
lost in
somewhere
the
on my
ether, but
phone.
present to you. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I have a lot more interesting pictures from my trip than the one from...
Yeah, the worst
Yeah.
part about these kinds of
Flight.
vlogs and vlogs is that we focus on the flight because a lot of what we're about is just getting them for free or nearly free or cheap. But
Going to places are just a consequence of being in an airport and being on planes.
And the reason why we care about 747 versus 777 is because it's the same price to redeem for business class, but the 777 business class is likely to be so much better for the same price.
Yeah, I don't.
There's
This is good.
There's this website that I really love. It's called SeatGuru.com, and you can put in the airline and the flight number and what day, and they'll tell you what plane is supposed to be operated on that flight and what seat configuration it's supposed to use, and they even have user input. They'll say like, okay, this seat has like a blocked window or something where you don't want that one, or this one's like too close to the bathrooms or the galley or something like that. So you can use that website before you even choose your seat if you have that option ahead of time, and be like, okay, so I want to be on this configuration with this seat in this spot, and really plan it out.
That's really good information to have. I think about as detailed I get is I go on Google Flights and they say like, this is rated as a nice flight, and I go, okay,
Really?
that's good.
So it's very like binary. This is an average flight. This one's probably better.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, the better one.
Yeah.
I did learn though on one of my flights there, I ended up in the back row, the one next to the bathrooms that people normally don't like.
Sure.
However, I could fully recline. I mean, it's economy. I could fully recline though without guilt and actually relax.
Because you're not encroaching on anyone's space.
Exactly.
Right.
It felt really good.
You're so respectful.
Yeah.
I've had that same situation before. I flew in the back of 767, and it was the same thing. I was in the very last row. was like, okay, all 3 inches of recline, like here we go, I'm laid back right now. And it's funny because people would say negative things about being that close to bathrooms, whatever, people lining up back there. But what I think is overlooked often that people don't really talk about is the seats just ahead of the exit row have no recline. And no one ever seems to mention that. So if you're in the exit row, you have all this extra leg room, which is great. But if you're in the row just ahead of the exit row, your seat does not recline at all.
I think that might be the most important bit of information I'm going to take away from this today.
Never sit.
Well, we're just getting started, so don't count your chickens
I'm maxed
yet.
out.
But,
That's it.
all right, Casey's done learning for the day. She shut it down. But what airline did you fly to get to South Africa?
United.
I know those guys.
Yeah, and it was because some friend had said you can get a bunch of points. That's a good way. So I signed up for their program and did that. And I can't confirm this officially, but someone on our trip also figured out that because you can either pay for remote year each month with a credit card or through PayPal, or I think it's through PayPal or something else. And they said it was worth the additional fee through PayPal to get enough credit card points I was on Chase, to essentially pay for your flight back.
Depends on the card.
Almost, yeah. So I was on Preferred.
The Chase Sapphire Preferred?
Yeah.
Okay.
And with the sign-up bonus, definitely. Like if you had just signed up for the card beforehand and you're like, okay, so I'm going to use this card for all the expenses on this trip, which is really, I mean, that's a brilliant strategy to do it that way.
I did it because of this guy. He's the one who made me sign up.
You know, it's not that brilliant.
I mean, it's all right.
But it's okay.
Carson and I actually don't like each other.
People have done. No, but yeah, that's the thing that I try to tell people is don't just sign up for a card if you don't know how you're going to use it, like how you're going to get to that minimum spend threshold. So to do something like that, where if you don't have a card ahead of time that has no foreign transaction fees and things like that, it's like, okay, you cover so many bases. You get a card that is great for use abroad, and all of your expenses that you know you're going to have go toward hitting the sign-up bonus. And even if you don't use it for travel on that specific trip, you have it there. But in your case, you definitely would have plenty hitting that sign-up bonus to come back.
Do you have the Freedom and the Freedom Unlimited? Now that you're back, it's time to get those.
Okay.
Are you running a single card strategy?
She was out of the country. She can't use the Freedom and the Freedom Unlimited. They have
We'll let it slide this time.
I am so underqualified for this.
No, you're gonna have a good time. It's gonna be great. But what you're qualified to talk about is I want to hear more about remote year. First of all, can you tell us how much it was per month?
Yes, it's $2,000 per month. I think that they are raising the price, so don't quote me on that for future trips. But for my trip, it was $2,000 a month. There was
go ahead.
I was just gonna say there's a down payment. I got a discount because I signed up early enough, but I should have probably looked at some numbers before I came here. But I want to say it was around $2,000 to sign up, between $1,300 and $2,000, and then per month $2,000, and that covers your apartment and your workspace and trips in between countries. And one track day, they call them track days, where they provide you with a fun event and you go and cultural immersion and whatever. So yeah, $2,000 a month for that.
And food and booze is extra?
Yes.
Like,
how inconsiderate.
Right? No, but
they couldn't afford the booze consumed on those trips.
But $2,000 a month, I mean, a lot of people's bills are $2,000 a month.
Yeah, that really seems pretty competitive to what I think a lot of people have in
when you consider rent or mortgage and utilities and internet and a car. Some people rent their own office or do co-working.
And it's definitely concentrated to people on the outskirts, like on the coast, because for them it's almost cheaper, you know, like in LA and New York. So you get a lot of people along the outside of the US. We had a couple of people from Australia, a couple from Canada, a couple from Hong Kong. So you get people from all over, but definitely more to the outskirts of the country than middle. I was the only Austinite, though. There have been other Austin people who've been.
People just don't know how expensive it is now.
I know. So that, and then I would say my monthly expenses were probably less than a lot of people's. They were between $1,000 and maybe $1,300 for food, and I didn't really do a lot of side trips, but a lot of people will do the side trips as well. And I didn't eat out all that much, but I would go to the grocery store and cook for myself, and it was still at least $1,000 a month.
Yeah. So how much ahead of time planning did you put into this? Like, did you save and budget ahead of time, or did you just go, yeah, I think I can make these numbers work?
I was ready to blow shit up. And so I essentially was like, I need a change. I need a reset. I kind of set that intention, like, I need something different and I need it to be big. And then I think Instagram overheard that thought the way they work.
Oh my God.
And
I mean,
it's creepy.
Yeah.
And so that ad popped up on my feed about a week after I was kind of like, I need a change. And then 3 weeks later, I was signed up.
We hear your cry for help.
It's creepy.
Yeah, I've seen the ad on Instagram too. I was like, oh, remote year.
Probably because they heard us talking about
probably,
it. And
yeah.
and so let's see, I think I signed up end of August-ish, early September, and I was in Cape Town on December 31st.
Did you love Cape Town?
Yes.
Tell us about it.
Yes. It was so amazingly beautiful.
Well, and you kicked off with New Year's in Cape Town. So
yeah, I did.
That's kind of an epic start to a journey.
I got in, I guess I got in at 11 p.m. on December 30th. So my first full day was New Year's Eve. And
yeah,
we
what are the odds?
So we did New Year's Eve.
Planned.
Oh God, it was amazing.
What was it like? What was your New Year's in Cape Town?
Well, a lot of people in the group did. They found some crazy party, 5 DJs, pyrotechnics, insanity.
Nice.
I'm in my 40s, so I'm like, good on you. Have
sorry.
all the fun.
I must have misheard you. You said you're in your 40s?
I
wasn't prepped with any information before we filmed this, just for the record.
I'm in my low 40s, but no. So the age groups in the trip, it ranged from 19 to about 59, and so I was sort of on the upper end of that spectrum. And I mean, and I'm not saying there weren't plenty of people in their 50s who went to do the crazy party,
Sure.
but I sort of petitioned for anyone who wanted something a bit more chill. So we ended up in a rooftop bar at midnight,
taking
downtown
in the beautiful views of Cape Town.
I love that country. It's so awesome.
So what's so funny to me about the New Year's thing, I know I'm kind of stuck on that theme, but it's so funny that people make that perpetual joke of like, oh, new year, new me, but like you literally did that.
Oh yeah.
Like that
New
is
year, new continent.
Yeah.
New hemisphere,
new
new quadrant.
friends.
It was summer.
The people
for New Year's.
The people that I spent New Year's Eve with, I met that day. Like there were 4 or 5 other ladies with me, and we met earlier and just ended up at this bar together. And
I love that aspect of group activities where you're like, hey, we don't know each other, but we're both doing the thing. You want to party?
Yeah.
That's liberating.
Yeah.
It's liberating, it's mind-opening, it's eye-opening.
Yeah.
And I think that it's broader than just group activity, really. For myself personally, I find that when I travel, I'm much more likely to talk to people that I don't know and engage rather than when I'm at home and I'm in my like work grind routine. It's like I don't have time for new people right now.
Yeah.
I don't have time for this relationship. I don't have time for the friends I have.
Yeah.
So it's
he doesn't have time for me. I'm very neglected.
Later. Cut that.
Maybe. if you're really nice to me later.
God damn it. Oh man. But yeah, it's funny how much an experience like that can really kind of open you up to more. It seems cliche to say that travel makes you more receptive of all these things. It sounds like BS, but in fact it's not.
Yeah, and on the theme of cliche, they kind of become your family on day one. I was traveling with 50 people. We were an exceptionally large group, on the larger side of groups for remote year. I think they're usually closer to like 35, and we had 50 people in our group.
Wow. Yeah, that's quite a lot.
Yeah, and I can say honestly that I lucked out with my group of people. Everyone was wonderful. I trusted every single person, and I don't think that that's always the case when you get a group of 50 people from all over the world together.
No, mathematically your odds are terrible.
Exactly. And so we really
So wait, no
lucked
shitheads
out.
at all?
No shitheads.
Whoa.
I expected shitheads. And I think that there have been
So
some.
disappointing.
I know. I mean, and it was you get a lot of big personalities because that's the kind of person that's going to be drawn to this, people
Sure.
who are willing to go big. And we had like a reality TV show person, Instagram influencer, and then just a lot of people who love to travel. And yeah, it was really good. It was great. And yet I still spent a lot of time alone, because you can do that. You can really create your own balance in that situation. Yeah, like you can be alone as much as you want, and then you go, I'm hungry, I want lunch, and you post up to the group chat and go, I'm hungry now, who wants to go eat? And there's always someone there who wants to go, and people at all hours of the day too, because a lot of people were working their normal work schedules
Outside of the country in a different time zone.
So people,
Africa and Europe are not easy to keep US hours.
Yeah, or Australian hours, because there were a couple of people doing that.
Yeah,
so any time of day, you've got people.
For keeping US hours, I like South America. You're still far away, but you're close in terms of time zone.
Exactly.
And I followed
live a little.
Oh my god. I followed your Instagram while you were abroad, and you stayed in some fucking epic places.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of those bedrooms, like, we haven't mentioned this before, but your work is interior design, right?
Yes.
And you must have had some thoughts.
I had some thoughts, yeah. There were some bold choices made in some of these places that I had a lot of thoughts about. Overall, I think I lucked out. I think we got some really good spots. Morocco, questionable. That's the one that I said looked like porn star Barbie's
Yeah, I remember Porn Star Barbie's Play Palace.
It really was. That was a long month. But other than that, I had some amazing spots. Lisbon, it was phenomenal. Valencia was great. And I lucked out because I got 2 months with my own space, and I'm not a big roommate person. I kind of prefer to have my own space.
As in the full apartment with the kitchen and the bathroom to yourself?
All mine, yeah.
In other circumstances where there's shared kitchens and bathrooms?
Usually that's the case.
Okay.
Yeah, and so in one I had one roommate. In Morocco I had one roommate, and in Valencia I had two. And we shared 2 bathrooms between the 3 of us. And it was fine. I mean, because I had a good group of people, it didn't really matter who I ended up with. It's not so much about that, it's just like I like having my own space.
Right.
Only child, whatever.
Well, before we leave South Africa, what was your favorite part of South Africa? You obviously loved it. Is there like a standout aspect of this place?
I'm gonna cheat, and there were 2 experiences. There was...
No, those aren't the rules.
I make my own rules. You bring me on, they're my rules.
Damn it. She's right.
I will go rogue as a guest. It's my show now. One was a trip out to the townships, and there's a place called Rand's, and we went and had a barbecue and dance party with all the people in the townships, and it was amazing. It was so fun.
Quick explanation of townships?
Yes. Post-apartheid. They moved a bunch of people. There's some racism. There's still some stuff going on, and so they're kind of known. They're sort of known to be poor and dangerous and crime, and those are all things that exist. But we had a wonderful experience, and that was something. They brought out meat in baskets. We were drinking beer and eating meat with our hands out of baskets. It was the best. And it was Afro House dance party. So I danced my face off that night.
Right.
It was amazing. And then the other one, the other best night was farmers markets are my happy place. We need to establish how much joy they bring me. And there was one near my apartment that happened on Thursdays. I was introduced to one of the people who owned a stand there, and I was asking, where's the best South African food? I need it. I'm so excited for this. And she essentially ended up inviting me into her home after roughly a 15-minute long conversation. And she and her husband invited friends over and cooked for me. And it was the best.
Nice.
She's an amazing chef.
What was the meal?
Well, it was chakalaka is something I learned and I brought back that I can make. It's like carrots. It's sort of like a chana masala with carrots. If you just sort of, and then there was this bread that, forgive me, Nolu, I can't remember the name of, but it was, it kind of looks like sourdough, but it's grilled and not baked, and it's soft everywhere. And it was like one of the best things I ate there. Bread's always gonna win.
I'm dying right now. I didn't eat before we spoke either.
And I'm a foodie, and it's Seven Colors Eatery was her place, but she was like, the people there were really the best part. Hanging out with the Uber drivers, all from all the countries. So really the people and the natural beauty were like the two best things. Moving on.
What I want to move on to is the situation where, as I understand, remote year becomes involved with you continuing to do your work overseas. Because that's got to be the biggest question in so many people's minds, because a lot of people can't leave their jobs. They feel like they can't leave their jobs. Maybe they think they can't, but they actually can. How the fuck does that work? I know that your situation was a little bit unique because an interior design is not an industry that you think travels. Other industries were more open to remote work, and I'm wondering how they might have inserted themselves into the process of getting someone whose work is more easily remote-able.
Definitely.
I'm wondering if you have a fucking negotiator.
You do.
Okay, talk to me about this.
Fortunately, I didn't need my negotiator because my boss was awesome and just said yes. But once you call and express interest in the program, you're given a person who is your person throughout the whole process. And they answer any questions, they talk you through. They're also kind of screening to make sure you're a good fit, because, you don't want to weed out the crazies and the whatever. And so once they establish that you're not a crazy and they're there as your support person, and if you have a job where your boss is kind of on the fence or your boss has questions, even about connectivity and hours and how they facilitate, you do have a person that will go to bat for you with statistics, with just there to answer any questions. So I didn't really need it, but I know that it makes sense. A lot of bosses would have questions about how you actually get work done.
Overall, would you say that they execute it very well as far as like remote year goes? They do a good job of facilitating it to make sure that people are actually able to do this.
Yes, they do. I mean, we always had access to the workspace. Even if the workspace closed, we had 24-hour access because there were always people who were working ridiculous hours. And so it might just mean that you had a key card.
Keep going, I'm gonna check equipment real quick.
Yes, the workspace, bye. The workspace. The workspace was always like no farther than about a 15 or 20 minute walk from anyone. So they make sure that the workspace is accessible. And really, I was not a big workspace person, especially because I ended up with my own place a couple of times. Like, why put on pants when you can just be there, and work from home?
I've asked myself that question so many times.
Yeah.
And I've never come up with a good answer.
Not worth it. No. And so I had access to a workspace all the time, and I was never at the workspace because I have, my connectivity. My job doesn't require a crazy amount of internet accessibility and that kind of stuff. So yeah, but I do think they did a good job. I mean, there were quite a few people there. They had, every workspace had call booths. So if you needed to take a call, you could schedule. They had 2 to 3. You could schedule that. Printers. Yeah, pretty much anything you would need.
Were there any memorable stories of negotiations for remote work or keeping it alive that you remember from other people? I mean, you didn't end up working 40 hours, did you?
No, I didn't. There were, and in all honesty, I think there were maybe 5 to 8 people who they were the people holding the fort down at the workspace. They were always the ones there working
out of 50.
Really hard. Out of 50, I hope my numbers are accurate. Now, not everyone there went in with the intent to work 40 hours. Some people were in between jobs. Some people just had a typical non-traditional jobs. We had photographers, we had graphic designers, we had people, and a lot of entrepreneurs and people who owned their own business. So they could work their own hours. They could choose when they weren't going to work 40 hours a week. I would say probably half the people worked for companies, and there were a couple of people that I knew that were sort of the test runs for their company. They sort of talked their company into it, and it was a trial run to see how well it worked. So they were very motivated to get their hours in because they didn't want to ruin it for everybody else.
Those four people have to be the all-stars so everybody else can do it.
Exactly. And there were a few of them as well. So yeah, and there were people who quit their jobs while on the road, people who got new jobs. They were people interviewing for jobs.
Wow.
In another country, they would have to make sure they were at the workspace by 9 p.m. to
funny.
jump on a call and interview. So, yeah.
So it's just a very mobile kind of working environment.
Yes.
And I mean, I'm usually working while I'm traveling. Mm-hmm. I usually don't take vacations. Mm-hmm. And I enjoy doing that because I like to feel productive. Carson?
Good, thanks. my beer is just out of reach, though.
Do you want it?
Oh, it's right there.
Do you miss it? You said something about not drinking.
Cool.
Or I mean, not eating before you got here.
Yeah, it's cheaper that way.
Not eating before you get here?
Well, drinking on an empty stomach.
Yeah, a little goes a long way. But yeah.
That's just economics.
And you're a champagne fan after all that first class.
Yeah, well, of course.
Yeah.
You're not gonna not drink it.
Fuck, man. I just did an Instagram post that you might have seen, which was me drinking champagne in the American Airlines business class.
Yeah.
That was like, it doesn't matter. I think the caption was, it doesn't matter if it's 6 a.m. for your flight.
Oh.
You always order champagne
Planes
for
and
your
airports.
pre-flight
Yeah.
drink.
It's a lawless wasteland when it comes to alcohol.
I don't really drink champagne, and when it was offered to me in the business class, I'm like, yes, please. Every time. Would you like more wine?
I'm sorry,
Yes.
crew. Yeah, the answer is always yes.
Like,
Yes.
is one of the amenities in business class that you carry me off the plane because just keep the champagne flowing.
I was
God.
so excited just to be there. I couldn't sleep. On an overseas flight, I was just like, I'm so comfortable, I can't sleep. I'm so excited.
I had the opposite experience. My first long haul, first class, was flying back from Brazil. I partied for 48 hours straight and I was dead. I got offered a $58 upgrade to first class at the gate. I was like, yes, please. I fell asleep. I got nothing. It was the best sleep I'd ever had on a plane, but I didn't get champagne. I didn't get food. So wah, wah.
I did something really similar.
Well, I'm making up for it now, motherfucker. I'm sleeping so well before my ANA flight. I don't give a fuck.
Experience at all.
Oh my God.
When I came back from Paris last year, I was on it was an American Airlines flight, but it was an old US Airways A330 and it had the Envoy suites in it. So I was in one of the window seats, so it's just a single little seat that turns into the flatbed and everything. And I had done something similar to what you did. I stayed up all night. Like, I had not slept in at least 36 hours by the time I got on the plane, and I made it through the meal service, and that was probably 90 minutes into the flight, and after that I was nearly unconscious until we got to Charlotte. It was like, but you've never slept that long on a plane until you've slept in flatbed anything. Like 6-7 hours like that, and you wake up and you're like, oh, everything's fine. Like, I would have to have a leg amputated if I fell asleep for 7 hours in economy.
And the second time I went to Brazil, I flew back in economy, and I realized how much I'd missed from the flight back because Brasilia from the air looks crazy. We flew over Caracas, we flew over Port-au-Prince, and I couldn't sleep, but I was like, Jesus, look at all these
All the stuff.
places we're flying over. Like, I wanted to see Caracas from the air. I wanted to see Port-au-Prince from the air. I want to see Port-au-Prince in person. Because I'm a crazy, crazy person.
I was like, wait, I think we all just lost it right there.
That's the capital of Haiti.
Oh yeah, we derailed again.
What?
That's a thing.
That's fine.
What did we come here for?
Why am I even here?
We're having a good
Free
time.
wine, free wine. Got it. I remember.
We're drinking. We're having a good time. I'm having a good time.
Yeah.
Y'all pull your weight. Jesus. So next place was Morocco, and Morocco was interesting, right?
Morocco is a very polarizing country for travelers.
I love how PC that is.
Any of my remote year friends who end up watching this are going to be laughing their asses off now. Like, I was known as a person who was personally not a fan of the country. Still have a little PTSD whenever I see Tagine. It's, but there were people who loved it on the trip.
So, can you elaborate a little bit on what people loved versus what you did not?
I have a theory. My theory is that people who come away from Morocco loving it were there for probably no more than 2 weeks. I was there for 5. I feel like, especially the ladies, because it's really popular on Instagram. It's a very Instagrammable country, and it's beautiful. And I did the Sahara Desert, I did the Atlas Mountains. We did all of that. But I feel like the people who walk away just with the warm fuzzies, considering that country, probably went there with a significant other. They probably stayed in Riyadh exclusively. In the Medina, they probably started with a guide. They had a guide that they probably picked before they even got there. A lot of Airbnb experiences and stuff.
Riyadhs are...
Oh, those are more like the fancy hotel Airbnb, or
they're kind of like an historic
kind of place. Yeah, usually in the Medina. Beautiful. That's when you see the beautiful...
I saw a couple of those in Tangier that I wanted to stay in.
Yeah.
But I was only on a day trip.
Yeah,
Tangier from Spain.
You get tile, you get fountains, you get the exotic plants.
Oh, they're fucking gorgeous.
Yeah, they're beautiful. And I stayed in one Riyadh.
Huh? Get those Instagram likes.
It's exactly. That's exactly. And the Medina is ancient, and that's really cool, walking into this place where it's just been there forever and it feels ancient.
Yeah, I would stay the fuck out of one of those places.
So yeah.
I wonder if a Riyadh qualifies for the City Prestige 4th night free.
If you can, I would say if you can, anything that you can book through the city travel portal should theoretically qualify.
All right.
I think. We
gotta look up if, they're probably so cheap that it's like some Riyadhs are just very economical. Mm-hmm. So why bother?
I haven't.
But a really, really upscale one. There's gotta be a penthouse Riyadh.
Oh God, yeah. I walked into some of them and walked around them. Yeah. It was, being an interior designer,
right.
you appreciate
I remember seeing some really reasonable hotel prices in the Medina and Tangier.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and I think you can, even Riyadhs, because a lot of the people in my group just went to stay in Riyadhs even though we had apartments. Okay. It was Porn Star Barbie apartment. Yeah. And they were like, yeah, I'm just gonna go. And I will say, Morocco is no longer on the remote year itinerary.
Oh, you fucked it up?
We were one of the last groups.
What did you do?
It was already planned. It was already planned.
On the way out.
I was, but still. No, they had already planned that, no more, because it's a very polarizing country. People either love it or they don't.
Yeah. They didn't want the negative press to turn up in a YouTube video?
Well, and it was almost the reason I ended up not waiting, because now they've subbed in Croatia, and it's like,
oh, goddamn!
Thank you. Yeah, it's like I want that trip. I want a do-over. And so for me, my experience, when you're there for 2 weeks with your significant other, you're not getting catcalled, you're not getting harassed by people in the Medina, you're throwing money at them because you're on vacation, and that's what you do on vacation. You throw money at people and buy a bunch of stuff. And women who love to shop love Morocco. I don't fall into that category, really. And so cheap leather bags. There are reasons for people to love Morocco, and everyone is so amazing to you when you're throwing money at them. For me...
But you can get that anywhere.
It's true. Anyone's
amazing.
Money at
me, I'll be amazing as fuck.
That's not specific to Morocco. That's just people. But so my experience was I was there for 5 weeks. I was staying in an apartment. I had to walk the taxis in order to get you have to negotiate before you even get in the taxi. You have to so I quit using taxis. I'm like, no, fuck it. If I can't walk there, I'm not going. And so I would walk to the grocery store with my backpack over half a mile, come back with a 27-pound backpack all the way. And
that's pretty extreme.
The people, like in Cape Town, there's a little bit of a shell on people. Racism is very much a thing, all that kind of stuff. But once you break through that, which is not very hard, the people are amazing, and they were so warm and kind and awesome. So I felt, there's a lot of petty crime and stuff in Cape Town. So I felt physically a little unsafe, but emotionally very safe with the people. And then I go to Morocco, and physically, there's not a lot of crime there. I could walk on the street up until about 9 p.m. and feel safe. I never, other than the cat calls, it wasn't like they were actually that rapey.
That's a stroll through New York or
yeah.
anywhere,
But
unfortunately.
emotionally unsafe, because I felt like I couldn't trust anyone. No one was being authentic. It was be nice until you give them money or they see, or and then I had a lot of people just kind of turn, like, oh, you're not going to play the game, fuck off. And
Gotcha.
So I felt more emotionally unsafe.
Yeah, I had some of that experience when we said yes to see some rugs, and
Yes.
then got a little bit trapped in the hostel dungeon, which they got beautiful carpets. They're kind of expensive,
Yeah.
and some people just love Moroccan carpets, but we weren't there for carpets.
And it's kind of a hustle culture. Like, that's the way I look at it. It's a hustle culture, and I think there are a lot of people who are very comfortable in that. So they laugh it off and, oh, it's just a game and it's part of it. And so I think people who are good with that culture are fine with it. And for me, it was just kind of exhausting.
And in a weird way, I feel like America's turning into a little bit of a hustle culture. So
yeah,
the distinctions are disappearing, but
that's true.
It's not something that's sunk in for a lot of Americans, so it's a real shock. And we got hustled a number of times in Morocco, and my friend Errol, who was there with us, was the most zen about us of any of us. And he was like, dude, they're fucking killing it. Like, let them kill it.
There's always one in the group that's like,
we're here being crazy.
Yeah.
Just let them profit off of us being crazy, because we're so out of our element, and we're happy to be out of our element to a certain extent. So don't begrudge them working their system. It's their system, and we're in their place, not in ours. No.
Yeah.
So yeah.
There were a lot of people from my group.
There's a lot to let go
experience.
of. There's a lot to let go of in a place like Morocco for a culture like American.
Yes, definitely. And there were plenty of people on the trip who had wonderful experiences. And there's one of the people from the group, one of the ladies was last I heard actually kind of trying to move there. Like, she was exploring what it would take to get there and move her business there. And
yeah, Morocco hits home for a lot of people. I would like to go back, but I was only there for a couple of hours. So.
And I heard good things about Tangier. Like, we were supposed to go all the way up there we had a 9-day road trip, and it kind of turned into a 7-day. We didn't quite make it all the way to the top, but I heard good things.
It's a cool place.
And Essaouira is like the place that almost everyone unanimously loved, the beach town. So yeah.
Yeah, didn't get much beach. Huh?
He's done with us.
He'll be back.
He always comes back.
He'll never quit us. He won't be shut of us. No. We won't let him fucking forget it.
It's a cold, hard world out there. He's gonna.
Yeah, this is the cool place. Fuck him.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Carson. Carson's the shit. But.
So Morocco.
Yeah, Morocco is a challenge.
Yes, that's a really good way to put it. And we weren't living in the Medina, like the vacation life. We were living outside the Medina in an apartment, just existing, working, and so it's
Were you living different. More like Moroccan locals compared to tourists?
Yes,
I mean, that's fucking valuable.
Yes. Oh no, I mean, it was definitely a valuable experience. Definitely. Now, I think like I did a side trip, but I didn't go out and party a lot or anything like that. And so I feel like I probably was living a little more like locals. Some of the people in the trip were still taking a bunch of side trips. And so I think some people were living a little more like vacation style while they were there.
When I travel, I don't get out much. Like, you're going to Rio, or are you going anywhere else? Why should I go anywhere else?
Yeah.
Rio's a big fucking place.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I was kind of like that in most of the places. Like, I just wanted to experience. You're hard pressed to really experience a place in a week.
Yeah, I experienced that. got that from my dad because they'll go to Italy, him and his wife, a lot, and they'll try and nest down in a place for at least a week. And to go just like 2 days, like, oh my God, I got 2 weeks vacation, I'm gonna go to 7 countries and spend 2 days in each. Like, that's fucking exhausting.
It's so hard. I've done trips like that, and it's one of those trips that I come back from and I always get back and think, I need a vacation from this vacation. It really is a thing.
I mean, even remote year, you stay in each place for roughly a month, and I had kind of just found my groove in each place when it was time to move.
Right. Damn it, now I gotta start over again.
Yeah, you get used to the culture, you get used to the food, to your little route, how you get to the workspace, if you go to the workspace. And you get your routine down and you're like, all right, I got it. And they're like, all right, everybody pack up.
A month is a nice amount of time to spend in a place.
Yeah.
You spend much more than a month and you really won't want to leave. Like, that's your life now.
It's true.
That's fucking cool. Like,
Yeah.
I had a lot of re-entry
Morocco,
shock
I guess.
coming back from Brazil.
Good.
Yeah. Oh. But to clarify what I said earlier about the city prestige, because at this point it's 2 times a year if you have the city prestige card and you book 4 nights at a hotel through the city travel portal, your 4th night is free.
Right.
At any hotel. You pay cash for the hotel rooms, 3 nights you pay for, 4th night is free.
Yeah, it's prepaid, it's not refundable. There are definitely some caveats that go along with it. I've used it a couple of times, it's worked great for me. But the other thing that's in the fine print is how long the credit takes to post, because you do pay for the entire cost of the stay up front, and then the cost of the 4th night is reimbursed later as a statement credit. And my last one took about 3 months before it posted. So you have to prepare for that. It's like in the long run, yeah, it's great. And people that use it for really expensive places per night, you can get outsized value that way. But for me, even if I get $150 back on a 4-night stay throughout the course of a year, you do that a couple of times along with the other perks of the card, it's really quite valuable versus the annual fee.
What was your favorite stop on this trip? Lisbon, Portugal, place I really want to go.
Yes.
You flew back TAP business class,
Yes.
but you were in Lisbon for how long?
For 4 weeks.
Casey's very fancy.
Is that fancy? I don't even know. I think it was the cheapest at the time, whatever.
What, Lisbon or the flight?
The flight
Okay.
coming out. It was way, way cheaper to fly out of Lisbon than Valencia.
Yeah.
Even when I looked at taking the train, a lot of people took the train to Barcelona or Madrid. And even at that point, I still saved probably $500 flying out of Lisbon. And I spent all of that money spending 5 extra days in Lisbon because I loved it so much.
Nice.
I just went back there and hung out for 5 days before I had to come home. But yeah, that was my favorite.
What? Do you know what the alliance that TAP is in?
Put me on the spot here.
Sorry, I don't know either. I think it's Star.
I thought it was Star Alliance.
How many airlines do this bidding on business class?
It was my first experience with that. I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah.
There are a handful that do. When I flew to Iceland last year, Iceland Air gave you the opportunity to do something similar. But
Is Iceland a major alliance airline? It's not like Wow.
No.
Wow, it's just folded, I think.
So the only thing that I am aware of is that you can credit and redeem miles to Alaska from Iceland Air, which is kind of
Zany.
yeah, it's because Alaska is such a weird kind of its own little animal within the points and miles world, where they're not part of any major alliance, but they have all of these non-alliance partners. So you have airlines from Star Alliance, One World, SkyTeam that all kind of partner with Alaska individually, where you can credit and redeem miles, but there's not really a lot of rhyme or reason to it. It's just, it is a thing that you can do. But for me, like being able to credit an Iceland Air flight to Alaska was like, yeah, I was going to do this anyway, but this is an added perk. Mm-hmm. And they gave you the opportunity to bid for for business class on Iceland Air, but their business class is more like just like a kind of a big recliner, like a domestic first class.
It's not even that far of a flight.
No,
it looks far away,
not.
but Iceland is kind of close.
Flying out of JFK, I think it was maybe 5.5 hours.
I mean, while it was active, WoW Air was popular as a cheap way to get to Europe.
Right.
With a stopover in Reykjavik.
Oh yeah, it's great. That's one of those weird things, and that's like the appeal of airlines like Iceland Air and Norwegian too. It's like Norwegian flies to London Gatwick from so many places, and once you are there, your options are very broad for how you can go to the next place. Like flying out of Gatwick, you can take something like Ryanair or EasyJet, and you can fly for $35 to Amsterdam from Gatwick. So it's getting across that transatlantic flight that can be your biggest expense if you do it on a low-cost carrier.
Yeah.
It's helpful.
Yeah, Ryanair and EasyJet fares are crazy. I still emphasize every time it comes up, don't check a fucking bag. Not only is it an extra cost, but EasyJet lost my luggage.
You know,
Well, delayed my luggage for almost my entire stay in Sweden.
you know, if you had the City Prestige at that time,
You know, Carson.
Did you have travel insurance?
Yeah, I had the Chase Sapphire Preferred, and EasyJet covered a certain amount of my expenses, which basically included an H&M shopping spree and some toiletries.
As you do, yes.
Yes. I had no clean clothes.
Oh no, yeah. I mean, we shopped exclusively at like Zara and H&M. We're in all these amazing places. And
Where I shop.
it's the only places with clothes that fit me.
Me too.
well,
I have to buy clothes for tall children.
So what was your favorite part about Lisbon? Why is Lisbon number one? Because you've effused about it, but haven't given us why yet. I want to hear why.
It's just, this is not a good, it's just
it's
awesome. Like,
intangible.
it is, like, it's this
ineffable.
energy of, for one thing, I mean, it's cobblestone everywhere, colorful buildings, tile everywhere. So it's just happy, and it's right there on the water. It's so sunny. I swear the sky is bluer. The food is really tasty, but it's very just simple. I mean, it's not France where it's like heavy and complex and stuff. They
Kind of
just
cool.
do
Like grilled meat, vegetables.
yeah, fish. It's like grilled fish, pastries. Ate the shit out of pastries the whole time I was there.
Cheese.
Cheese,
Queijo.
queijo, and port wine, which I didn't think I liked until I found my gateway port. Turns out I
What's your
love
gateway
it.
for?
Well, I don't know the name of anything I drink, but like
That means you drank enough of it.
I learned that I like younger ports. Apparently, they're not quite as sweet as the older. So, like the 10-year versus the 20. There was right next to the workspace. There was a wine tasting bar where you had a little card and you would
That's
go put
fucking
the card
dangerous.
in, and we spent so many hours.
You had like
there.
a punch card.
It's like a credit card that you swipe. And I mean, it's their card, and then you pay your tab at the end based on that
Oh, that's
card.
dangerous.
And you can do a quarter, like a
This
quarter.
isn't
a
money.
third.
Give me another.
David Buster's, but with alcohol.
Yeah, I'm not
It
drunk
was.
yet. There's no fucking sulfates in this
Roger
wine.
was my
I don't
guy.
feel anything other than happy.
Oh, I felt so much joy. I'm
Oh
not
my
even kidding.
God, yeah.
And you could get a quarter, a half, or a full glass.
Yeah.
So you could just punch what you wanted. So you could taste it at a quarter and decide if you liked it,
Yeah,
and
that's
then get
Good call.
yeah. And so they had like all Portuguese wines, so
Yeah.
that was super fun.
And we're loving the wine here. We're enjoying ourselves here, but drinking wine in Europe is so fucking different because it's so much better for you. And
You're basically drinking it from the vineyard.
yes, it's sulfate free, it's GMO free, and it's as a result, it's just kind of a happier drunk. I mean, wine in the United States. Hold on,
Hold on.
wait, I need my Archer moment.
Hold on.
We've got something for
Glad
this.
we're
I
all
had
on the same
something
page
for
with
this.
that.
Yeah, I had something for this.
Come back. Come back.
Wine in the U.S. is regulated by the Department of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. I mean, France, Germany, pretty much every European country has like a Bureau of Wine Pride or some shit. that's like a government agency dedicated to wine. And I think that like in the US to call something Cabernet Sauvignon, it has to be, wait for it, 51% Cabernet Sauvignon. And the other 49% can be whatever the fuck.
It has the majority share. It has control of the bottle.
Yeah, that's how capitalism works, I forgot.
I threw a full-on tantrum in Central Market when I got back to Austin.
I love
and
how
when
first world problems this is.
This
Please
is the
continue.
re-entry shock that we were talking
That's
about.
why we had the workshop, was me in the cheese department. And I went.
Fuck you!
Throwing wheels of cheese at people.
I really, like, I had a moment. And I like, went and I was like, I'm just gonna get my, one of my favorites. And I went and I was $12 fucking. And I like put it back and walked away. And I had a moment of like, what, am I just never gonna eat cheese again? Is that how this works?
yeah,
Am I just not? And so I like walked back and like found the smallest one. And then I went to the wine section and I'm like, $10? $10 for a bottle? Are you fucking kidding me?
Holding them in your hands, screaming at no one. I'm gonna get these, but I'm not gonna be happy about it.
Yes. Oh, I was throwing shade at every one of the people.
Can I
I'm just
tell
like,
you something about the €3 wine in Portugal, please?
I had, and they don't, and I'd also discovered they don't carry port wine at Central Market because it's too high of an ABV.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's something I learned because
Well,
I'm
I'm glad someone's looking out for us.
Sidebar. I'm gonna host a dinner for a few friends that has a menu from each of the countries that I came from. So I've been practicing.
That's a super cool concept.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have food from each of them and 4-course meal, and so that's why I was asking for port because I was like, oh, that'll be a cool dessert like ending. And they don't carry it, so whatever.
Decent port's not hard to get in the U.S. It's just not not in Texas grocery stores. You can probably get them in California grocery. You get fucking gin in California grocery stores.
Yeah, well, how else are you going to
And
deal with that traffic?
Yeah, whereas you can't even get beer in a grocery store in Massachusetts. You have to go to a liquor store for everything.
Such bizarre regulation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Europe's better, and I miss it.
In summary, tell us how you really feel.
In summary.
Yeah,
When you were talking about Portugal and you're like, oh yeah, everyone's so happy, and I'm like, the dark little corner of my mind is like, well, yeah, drugs are decriminalized. Of course they're fucking.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
heard
and
something
they
about that.
come up and they try. I had a guy try and sell me Coke on the street, but you learn whoops.
Like, is this organic free range
Careful.
Coke?
No, but you learn like
Is
so.
this non-GMO cocaine?
So just briefly getting back to remote year, two of my favorite, the biggest perks, I think, of the program. One is that you have access to International SOS, which is a program where if you get sick or you have a hangnail, like you can call for any reason. You're like, my tummy hurts. And they're just like, okay, let me get a medical professional on the phone. They assess your issue, decide what doctor you need to go to, set up the appointment with an English speaking doctor. You're like totally taken care of. And they just call back and go, show up here on this day. And then they call to follow up. And a lot of us ended up using that service. So that's part of what's included. That was amazing.
That's a great.
I wish I had that in Brazil.
Yeah, it was amazing. And I think you can use International SOS, like you can get your own account. It's a thing, it's an app, and you can just have the app, but remote year, like you're paying for that access with remote year. So that was amazing.
And it's probably still cheaper than healthcare here. Dramatically so.
And then, because I went to the doctor in both Cape Town and Portugal and had wonderful experiences. Even in Cape Town, I was like, what am I in for? Amazing. It was like the best. And then the other thing is in each city, you've got 2 local contacts, people who live there. So, and they organize a lot of, really? I'm getting animated. I'm just gonna.
Let's stay animated,
just
please.
gonna
I'm
do
gonna move
this.
this here. You're more important than the plan.
It's fine once
sure
the
you'll
bottle's
be out of
empty.
It's
It's fine once the bottle's empty.
know.
Well, do your fucking part, Carson.
Yeah. He's too good for wine. It gives him a headache.
Whatever.
But yeah, the other. So
I left the
with that,
Dom in first class.
It's always something with you.
So with people there, you get an orientation, city orientation for everywhere you go. So like in Cape Town, they were like, okay, these are the scams people are pulling. Like, so you're not taken advantage of. You know if you may or may not be about to get mugged. It's useful information. And so in each city, they sort of had that. And one of our people in Portugal was a foodie, like Instagram influencer foodie type. And so we would go, hey, where do we go for lunch? that's low-key and super local. And literally one day she was like, okay, so you follow the train tracks, they're gonna curve, look for a yellow door, go in there. And
The
we were
most
like,
obscure of obscure restaurants.
does it have a name? No. Just go in
Does
the yellow
it need
door.
a name? Just eat the fucking food.
And
If
it
it
was-
had a name, people could find it.
Exactly. And it was all construction workers. And she's like, that's where you want to go. You want to go where the construction workers are. And we walked, my friend Melissa and I walked in. And we actually kind of asked, like, we're ladies, can we eat here?
You didn't walk into like a record scratch freeze frame type situation
kind of
where everyone
was.
turns and
And
looks at
the
you.
place was
I wanted to be a
packed.
fucking piano in an Old West place. Like, dun, dun.
Yeah. The place was packed because it was lunchtime. And there was only one person who may or may not have identified as a woman, and then the rest were all just like construction workers, and we were like, hey, can we eat here? Is that cool? And the guy was like, yeah, sure. So he found us a table, and we were there for like 3 hours. We had the steak and the fish, and I got a beer, and then we split the equivalent of a bottle of wine, and it was like €18 for the whole thing. I have pictures.
Did you eat well in Spain?
Yes. And
Stupid question. Did you fall in love with tapas? You were in Andalusia, right?
I was already in love with tapas. Well, I had been to Spain
you don't
before.
fall. Okay, right. Spain was the place you'd been to.
I had been to
because-
Spain.
Can we talk about the fact that this was like the biggest travel thing you've done?
Yeah, it definitely was. And yeah, it was awesome. Now, I will say in Spain, we stayed in Valencia. That's the city I hadn't been to.
Yeah.
I had done Granada and San Sebastian and Barcelona.
Right, okay.
And I think I would have had, like, Valencia is just a place where you exist. You exist happily, and you exist going to markets, and you eat all the cheese and drink all. I turned into like borderline alcoholic in Spain because it's like 2 beers for lunch, of course. Oh, it's
we're way
10
ahead of
a.m.
you.
Like, everyone.
This was New Year's. Yeah, we were well ahead of you.
Yeah.
With the borderline alcoholism.
Even in Portugal, I didn't drink that much, but in Spain, full-blown alcoholism. It was amazing.
I mean, tapas, the concept is as long as you keep ordering drinks, they keep serving you food, right? And they're little plates of interesting shit. And they're like, okay, I want this wine. It's very reasonably priced. Okay, which tapas do you want with that?
What pairs with this bottle?
Yeah.
Yes, and of course paella, because I was in Valencia. That's like birthplace of paella.
That's their thing? Okay.
Yeah, that's their thing there. So had it been my first trip to Spain and had we been staying in Barcelona, Spain probably would have been higher up on the list because I love Spanish wine, I love Spanish cheese. The culture, any culture where you eat 5 times a day is my kind of place. Like that's, and where you nap.
I was
And you're not bulking up.
You get a nap in the middle of the day. What's not to love about this country?
Yeah,
But I've been
that's
there
insane.
before.
No one can fucking handle that. No one can handle the
Yeah.
mandatory nap in the middle of the day.
And Valencia,
I can't
they're
imagine.
strict about it. They closed for everything. Because I was there during Easter, and they closed, like Valencia closed for the week of Easter, and they had all these parades. Oh my God, it was the most depressing parades I have ever seen.
with the pointy hats,
Yes,
like
the
the KKK.
Yeah, the KKK parades.
Why does it look like a funeral procession?
It does. It
That's
was
part of the
messed
fun.
up. Yeah. Oh yeah. I kept threatening
Well, I mean,
to like.
Easter, Holy Week.
I'm like beads. No. Okay.
And they're like,
no
oh, it's
takers.
not.
Were you
It's
flash
not that
people?
kind of.
I was threatening to.
Okay.
But whatever.
Just gonna turn this party into Mardi Gras.
Yeah. I'm like, do I not?
We can
there's
turn
no-
any party into Mardi Gras.
I'm American. It's what we do.
Exactly.
Yeah, so Spain was cool, but doing this all at once, and it was my first kind of big trip because when I found out about Remote Year, I was planning a solo trip to Eastern Europe because again, I was like, blow shit up, I'm done, I want to reset, I'm gonna go do a thing. And then I found Remote Year, and I was like, well, this is a better combination for me, I think, of rather than trying to travel alone. And I was looking at maybe a month-long trip, and this just was a really good combination of you can be alone, but you don't have to be, and you have a local contact in every city where if you have questions, any concerns, you can go to them, ask for recommendations. You have the medical support if you need it. So it just kind of made sense.
Mm-hmm. Feel like all your bases are covered.
Yeah.
And you're not just foraging on your own.
Yeah.
Trying to figure things out as you go.
Exactly. And once you finish the program, you are considered a citizen and you get
Of what?
discounts of remote year.
Okay.
You get
It's its own country.
Yes.
Citizen of imagination
Did
land.
you get
it
a
kind of is like that. Yes. You become you gain access to the citizen Slack channel because they use Slack, like that's their thing. But
Seen Slack.
you gain access to the citizen Slack channel, and you and 1,000 other of your best friends who've done remote year all can, they have citizen houses, so they'll be like, hey, we have, like one's coming up in Mexico. They just had one in Greece, but it's like, we have a citizen house. We have 12 spots open for this month. You can come whenever, it's this much per week. You can show up for whatever weeks. And you can jump on programs, because we had, God, I'm bad with numbers, but I'm going to guess between 6 and 8 people drop out of our program during the program. So
Went out.
yeah, when people, for various reasons, decide against staying the whole time, you've got the Slack channel where they go, oh, a spot just opened up on this group.
Nice.
You can hop on for a reduced rate. So the benefits kind of continue after the program if you're one to use.
That's what I was going to say, and that's another whole added dimension to it. It's not just, okay, you signed up for this thing, you do this remote year program for whatever duration of time, and that's it. And you're like, oh, I'll have this year of memories. It's like, no, you can really still engage with this community, and it can be as long-term as you want it to be.
Oh yeah, there are still people, I mean, our official program ended at the end of April, and there are still people from our program who met on our program traveling together. They just kept the party going, and there are groups of people.
Oh yeah, people never come back.
No, I
People
wouldn't
never
if
come
I
back.
didn't have to. I thought I would get all homesick after 4 months. I was like, ooh, that seems like a long time. I was so bitter and resentful that I had to come back. It was
The reason that I wanted to talk to you about this is because so many people are like, I can't do that. You know what?
do it, fucking
You.
do it.
Yes, you can do it.
Yes.
And
I don't even have
well,
a
I have
job
one-
that makes
yeah.
sense doing it.
I
and
mean,
did it.
a lot of my friends are like bartenders and waiters. We all know people who work in those jobs. I just had a friend who like disconnected from his corporate job, and he's like working managing bars in Berlin now, and he just put on Facebook, hey, anyone from the service industry want to live in Berlin? We need people who speak English really badly.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm a person that speaks English.
I know.
So yeah, that shit's happening all the time.
Yeah.
And it totally can happen. And I mean, with what Carson and I have been doing with the last couple of years, the flights aren't an issue. I mean, what the strongest thing about it for me is that I no longer save for travel. That's just not even a thing.
That's awesome.
The money that you already spend is your money for travel.
Saving for travel just doesn't exist for me. And when I talk to people about a trip, and I really don't want to be mean about it or like dismissive, and some people aren't there with their credit yet, but they're like, yeah, I gotta save up for the travel. And if I find out they have a 790 credit score, I'm like,
You slap the debit card out of their hand and scream in their
I
face.
think I have a 790 credit score.
yeah.
Is that good? That's good?
No, that's excellent. Yeah, that was his point. It's,
Yeah,
it's
like,
not,
if
it's
you
not
have-
derogatory. It's like if your credit score
should
is
be.
above like even like 680, you can get approved for a lot of stuff. Normally, people say like a base threshold of like 700.
775,
But
yeah.
if
750 or 750, everything above that is bragging rights.
Yeah.
That's the best credit you can have to get the best of everything.
Okay.
And 790, at that point, you can just apply for a bunch of credit cards and still have that 760 best credit.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's
So-
and that I think was more the point. It's like if you're in that position where you're capable of doing something like that, clearly you've already proven to yourself that you can be responsible with your money, right? If your credit score is that good. The conversation I have with so many people when it comes to credit cards is this lingering fear that has been ingrained in people about, oh, credit cards, you'll lose control of it, it'll snowball, it'll get away from you, it'll ruin your life, credit card debt, all this stuff. It's like, okay, but who said as soon as you get a credit card, you have to go wild with spending?
Yeah.
You just spend what you would normally spend, you're just doing it a different way. And that's the thing I think people don't realize. Like, no one is telling you that credit cards are free money. It's like we're not telling you anything insane. It's just, okay, instead of using a debit card, use a credit card, pay it off every month, bank those points. That's your travel money. You don't have to save for months and years to take your dream vacation. It's much more within reach than what you think.
And that was my whole, fuck saving for travel rant, which was, if you save for travel, life can happen and you might have reserved the vacation time, and if you need to loot your travel fund for something that takes precedence, then your vacation could be fucked.
Yeah.
For people who do need that vacation because they have very intense jobs. And my point that I make about it over and over again is that, how important is travel to you? And if you have these credit scores, all that's waiting on is you.
Yeah, I think it comes down to saving money, like saving the money for travel, but then saving the time and saving the vacation depending on what kind of job you have. And I think that's why so many companies are moving to this model when possible. Not, you can't be like a surgeon and work remotely.
But if people have 2 weeks vacation or 1 week vacation, and I'm like, what's your credit score? And they say it's 790, I'm like, all right, you're flying first class next year. That's
like, it's so
don't fuck with me on this. It's why? Because these first class seats retail for like $10,000 to $22,000. You can get it for a couple $100 a year in annual fees.
Yeah.
It's
and something that kind of went along with what you touched on a minute ago, which is you talk about availability of time. And I think that's another thing that people often overlook when it comes to making travel a priority. People have this mindset of, oh, when I have time. And you're not going to unless you make it. It's like, don't be one of those people that's like, okay, I'm going to work until I retire and then I'll travel.
It's the worst, yeah.
Travel when your body is in its most capable state. Like, don't wait until your knees and back are failing you and you're like, well, yeah, I worked the last 40 years and I retired and now I can travel. It's like, that's great. It's never too late to do it, but you could have done it at a more opportune time.
That's such an American thing.
It is.
The like work, and then retire and then live.
Yeah.
And it was kind of, this is somewhat of an aside, but I realized I like to think that I'm a little beyond that kind of mentality until I find myself in certain situations. And in Portugal, I went to get a haircut. It was my first overseas haircut, so I was like, oh, what's gonna happen? And I know.
That's
and
a fucking
like,
step, yo.
It was, and it was funny because we had a ladies thread in our group of, people trying different, so we had a group chat that would talk about good salons and things that had happened. And one of my friends had booked at this place called Hair Fusion, and I told her, I'm like, hey, I'm going to get my hair cut by Alex, Portugal. Her response was literally, enjoy. And I was just like, oh, okay. And then I saw Alex. And, but I get there and I got there 5 minutes early because I wanted to make sure I had allotted enough time and knew where I was going. And I get there 45 minutes after my appointment time. They were like, all right, come on, not, oh shit, we're so sorry you waited for 45 minutes. They're like, it's your turn.
This is par for the course.
Yeah, it's your turn. And I'm just like, oh, well, good thing I'm not working a real job. Okay, fine. And so we started with the process. And Alex, the whole process, I think I was there for like 3 hours. Just getting a haircut. I didn't get color. It was literally just like off the ends. And he would stop and, kind of talk, and we would talk about restaurants and politics, and then he would kind of cut a little bit more. And the whole time I'm going, how do they make any money? Like, the turnover here is so slow. And I'm just like, oh, you're such a fucking American, because that's not like the most important thing.
On edge if things aren't moving at the fastest pace possible.
Yeah, and I had a lovely experience.
I could fix this.
I had a lovely experience. Alex was a lovely man, and it was awesome. And yeah, but the whole time I'm going, oh my gosh, how are y'all even doing this? Like, you're not, it's, and then I
almost anxiety inducing for
them.
American
Yeah,
people.
exactly. Yeah, me
Portugal?
for them in Portugal.
And
yeah.
that siesta's not a thing in Portugal,
No.
is it? Okay.
No, but being on time isn't either.
All right.
It's, you know, it's
I'm gonna
you
fit
show
right
when you
in.
show up. Yeah, it was, I mean, everyone's just so chill there. And I talked to one of the vendors just in one of the shops that I went into. I mean, everyone is so nice and warm there. And it was funny because being from Austin, I know all the people transferring in from other states, everyone's got their opinions on that. And I know that people in Portugal do as well, because all the Americans go, holy shit, it's amazing here, I want to live here.
Yeah.
I was amongst them. But I had like 2 people go, I was just like, your country is so amazing. And they're like, yeah, nothing ever happens here. Like, we don't take part in wars. We don't deal with international politics. We all just like hang out at the beach, and there's no open container. Like, you can just walk with booze anywhere in the streets.
Let's not forget what's important here.
They sell it on the beach. Like, you can just take it and go and do with it what you please.
Portugal's that country we're just not about all that drama.
Totally, and that's what they would say, because I'd be like, everyone's so chill here. Everyone's so laid back, and they're like, yeah, nothing ever happens here. Like, we're all just creative and laid back and drink our booze and eat our pastries, and
Well, when you get to a culture
involved.
that's very old, compared to a culture that's the United States, like the drama in the United States just feels like a teenager being, I didn't ask to be born. And
Also, y'all got any oil over there?
you don't understand. Like,
It's true.
she hates me. She's trying to ruin my life.
Petulant teenager.
And the fucking adult country's like, okay, just
Settle down.
Like, well, I'm gonna go back over here.
And I'm painting it fine, but like, it's hard not to feel like that when you hang out in Europe. And I mean, I've hung out a lot in Europe. I can't speak to Asia, Africa, or I've been to some South America, but fucking Europe is like it's very pleasant.
So I think that we've pretty thoroughly covered everything as far as, remote year and a lot of our own opinions, of course.
Yeah.
But what I was going to kind of conclude with is you just walked us through this really, really incredible experience. So I assume that people our tens of followers are going to want to Instagram stalk you.
Yeah.
So if you want to pitch that, feel free.
For sure. I'm still posting pictures. I'll be posting pictures of Lisbon till I die. Casey.Cunningham.56, I think is who I am. I don't have like an official account. I just signed up and took what they gave me. But yeah, got lots of pictures.
And we're going to be putting out some shit with how you can get connected up with remote year. But what stands out to me is, and we were touching on this a little bit, but the biggest thing about travel is don't wait.
Yeah.
Every excuse, like, I have a hard time with this because sometimes people treat travel like a privilege, and the biggest thing is to adopt a mindset where it's not a privilege, it's mandatory. Mm-hmm. And what's mandatory gets done. There are ways.
Well, in that same vein, we, to an aggravating degree, I'm sure, amongst our circle of friends, push credit card points and miles to facilitate travel and make it easier. But the number one thing with people that start doing this, that they will say after the fact, almost inevitably, is, I wish I'd started sooner.
Yeah.
And that can be said for points and miles or just travel in general, but that mindset is always there. If there's any regret that people have, it's not starting sooner.
Mm-hmm. My bucket list is long. I want to go everywhere. And
funny how that happens.
Year,
I want to go to Portugal so bad I can't even see straight. Starting from your Instagram stories, like, I just... Oh.
It's my happy place.
All right, we're going. All right, Casey Cunningham.
And
You're the shit. Thank you so much for coming around and spending so much time with us.
this is fun. Yeah, the free wine was great.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, how could you lose? All right, on that note.
So many perks.
Let's shut it down.
you.